About 2 weeks ago on the London Ear, I made this person who's joined me today, my guest on the show. I made their track, my Nessy recommends, and that was Cold Fire by Emmett. And all I knew is that Emmett was an independent artist, and this was a proper banger of a pop tune. And then when I had a sneaky look as well, I found Emmett's Instagram and found out more about Emmett and making him a very, very interesting character altogether.
Hmm.
Emmett, you're raising an eyebrow and having a little giggle there. Very interesting character indeed. How are you doing?
Thank you for lovely, mysterious intro. I'm not doing too badly. I'm not doing too bad. It's the start of the long weekend, thank God.
Now, when we're talking about what you do, so you have this like electro pop dystopian. It's kind of a darkness to it, which I'm a fan of that kind of thing. I like my
Mm,
pop music with a little bit of an edge. And
mm,
um, so you have that side of your life, and you also have your
mm.
day job, which is on your Instagram. So it's not that I'm giving away secrets, it's on your Instagram. Uh,
Yeah,
so you're also a doctor.
I am. I am indeed. Yeah, I studied in Cork about 100 years ago, and that's the day job. So I've been qualified since 2013. Gosh, I'm old, and we're working since. And essentially, I mean, like I've always been into music, songwriting since I can remember. But growing up, I was absolutely paralyzed by social anxiety. And when I say paralyzed, I mean not being able to like speak aloud in class, not being able to read a sentence in class, like proper social phobia. And stayed with me up until college. I got into college, and I just got so it's very tiring, and it's very all consuming to have that level of anxiety on a daily basis every day for the best part of a decade. So I eventually got to a point in second year of college in Cork where I was just like, I simply cannot go on like this. And I wasn't doing any music, and it was like bursting out of me to just get out, get music out and start performing. So for a finish, I did a Toastmasters class, cost me €50. And I think I did 3 or 4 classes in Cork in 2009, and it cured me almost overnight. And since then, I just started putting little bits and pieces out, and I did a couple of local like competitions, like UCC's Got Talent, Cork's Got Talent, that kind of a thing. Cringe, but sure, look, it got me on the stage. And since then, I've just been writing, writing, writing. Started out writing terrible songs, but kept going. And 2019 was the first proper tune that I released, a song called Bodies, which was my debut single. And obviously, then, the pandemic scuppered things. I had a band and I had a set list ready to go and hit the London scene. My band were from different countries in Europe, and the pandemic scuppered everything. So I wrote all through the pandemic, and now it's just a matter of finally getting the chance to release all of this material, essentially.
Now, first off, the Toastmasters, that's basically public speaking. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great way to get you used to being on stage and basically people looking at you.
Mm, yeah. And I'll never forget it. I did it, the Martin Luther King speech, I Have a Dream. And tis this like just a single A4 sheet. And before, I wouldn't have been able to get past the first line of it aloud in front of more than two people in the room. And did the couple of classes with Toastmasters, did the speech, and ever since then, however it clicked in my head, I was able to finally go, I right, I think I'm ready to just sing a song on stage. Um, and the first time I did, obviously I was a bag of nerves, but I think when with singing, because you can focus on the meaning, it's as long as it's personal to you, as long as you can focus on that and communicate in that, it's much easier in my experience than reciting a speech that isn't yours, or doing a presentation about material that isn't necessarily yours. So for me, like when I'm singing my own song on stage, it's much, much more comfortable. because you're essentially expressing something belonging to you, you know?
When you're in a job like you're doing as well,
Mm,
like it's all over the news here in the UK how stretched everybody is in the NHS
mm,
and the pressure that you're constantly under as well. So having a musical outlet,
mm,
that has to be good for the old head too.
yeah, massively so. And I mean, like, I think the experiences that I have had, personally growing up, living with such a level of anxiety and phobia, coupled with experiences working at work, it's made me have to really reflect and be introspective. And I think in a roundabout way, that has actually helped me with my composition and my lyricism, because I've had to reflect so much, and I've had to deal with my mental health, relapsing time and time again. As part of my own personal recovery, I've had to just be introspective. And it's a like, as any artist will tell you, it's just catharsis when you're able to release this in whatever form, whether it's poetry or singing or songwriting or painting or photography or whatever.
This is really interesting because I think this is going to benefit others twofold. It's going to benefit
Mm,
you, but it's also going to benefit people who listen to your music because you
mm,
will be able to tell stories better. You will be
mm,
able to get your words out and give meaning to, it's not just a little ditty. There's
mm.
actual meaning behind them. But then when you have to do this as well, it's also going to make you I suppose, empathize better or know exactly what your patients are going through as well. I'm not,
Mm,
obviously, we don't have to go into work stuff here.
mm.
But it's going to give you that, you're going to know what people go through.
Yeah, yeah, and like I'd consider myself like an empath, and I think like you kind of have to be if you want to get into the likes of healthcare. And it's sort of a balancing act, leaving stuff at work, if you are sensitive or if you're empathetic. But to do the job, you have to care at the end of the day, like. Um, but definitely, yeah, it definitely enables you to get a better understanding for sure. Of course it does, yeah.
So the music that you're releasing now,
Mm.
did you record this at home? Did you record it here in London? Who are you working with? Who's in the band? Who's who's surrounding you when you're doing all this?
So I have myself songwriting, and I have a very good friend of mine, producer, who I record with a chap called Jamie Sellers, and he's based in Essex. He has his own studio called Run Wild Studios, and he's fantastic. It's such a collaboration anytime I meet with him. Like, the studio is my favorite place in the world. Like, I'd rather be there than in the Bahamas or anything else. And particularly working with him, like, I'll come in and I'll have sort of a mood board, as it were, for exactly what I want the sonic landscape to look and sound like. And he'll spend a bit of time at the start just running sounds past me. I'll offer him some sounds that I've collected over the last couple of weeks or months, and it grows from there, essentially. And with my debut release, Bodies, I recorded with him. I actually only had it half written when I went into the studio, so I had the lyrics for the verse. And for me, that's my most personal song recorded and written to date, because it's dystopian, as you said, but it's essentially me struggling with my own mental health and my depression and anxiety over the years. But I had only had the verse written, and I knew I wanted a hook going through the chorus: bodies, 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 just like sort of an alarm. And we built the whole song in one go on the day. So it's just to have that sort of a camaraderie with a producer is gold. It's brilliant.
I think it's time that we heard a track. So we'll play Bodies now.
Cool.
All right, and then I'll stick it in there and then we put it back in.
Cool.
This is the London Ear on RTE 2XM. My name's Nessy. Today I am in conversation with Emmett. Hello, Emmett. How you doing?
How
We've
are you
just
doing, Vanessa?
I'm good, thank you very much. We've just heard Emmett's track Bodies. Um now you you're working you mentioned there that you were working with Jamie and on the production, and I think it's really interesting that you said you had a collection of sounds that
Mm.
um that you brought to the studio. Are they like little voice notes? Are they like little clips on the phone that you take? Do you put everything into a little folder? How does that work? Because I love the collaboration process and how different people work.
Yeah, I mean, my voice notes folder in my phone is the biggest source of um memory use up, put it that way. So it's chock a block. But for bodies, um, I actually in the second verse, you might be able to hear it in the background. I'm assembling an android or a robot. So the sounds that I had collected are just assembly sounds in a factory. So you can hear pneumatic drill and you can hear bubbling. Um, and I just said to him, I want at this point with this lyric line for it to sound like I'm being assembled or the android is being assembled. Um, and I have obviously, a splice, which is just vast archives of sounds. Anytime I'm writing a new song, I'll get kind of a cinematic idea as opposed to a melodic idea for bits and pieces in the song because I love songs that have sort of cinematic feels to them. So that's more along the kind of sounds I will collect when I'm composing.
And your writing process then, did this all start from poetry? It sounds like it almost did when you were in school, that it was like it started from the essence of poetry.
Yeah, I was poetry was one of my strongest subjects in school. I got it and I understood it and I understood the meaning behind it and the symbolism and everything. Um and as I said to you, like, I've struggled with my mental health for a very long time. And anytime that I've had, episodes of anxiety or episodes of depression throughout my teens and my 20s, I've gone to therapy and I've had to self-reflect and I've had to be introspective and I've had to put pen to paper to slow my mind down and to regulate myself. And through building that habit over the years, it has really lent itself to my lyricism. Because I've had to analyze what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling, and describe it in words. So I think I've developed a skill over the years of expressing myself through words.
When you have this new single out now,
Mm,
Cold Fire, that played on the show, um, is this the start? And you mentioned that you had, that you were writing during COVID and all that
mm,
stuff.
mm,
Um, is this going to be, how do people release music? It's so difficult. Is it like, do you aim for an album? Everybody wants to put an album out at some stage, but are you aiming for an album? Are you aiming for like an EP, a string of
mm,
singles? It's like you kind of, I actually feel sorry for artists sometimes because
mm,
you get an album, you have to release so many tracks before you release an album because
mm.
once you have an album out, it's like everything's gone.
Yeah,
So it's like how do you plan? How do you even gauge what you want to do in a year's time?
yeah. For me, I'm much more geared for the moment, anyways, towards doing singles because I I I want, as well as just putting each piece of music out, I want artwork with it that I care a lot about. And you don't necessarily get to do that when you're releasing an album. You know what I mean? You can release 12, 13, 14 songs, but you can't have any imagery associated with it. Um, and I love that process as well for songs is having killer artwork and collaborating with graphic artists, photographers. I love that part of this process.
You'd never guess that from your current promo photos.
Thanks.
Will I describe them? Will I describe them, or will I get you to describe them? You describe
Oh
what.
God, you describe them. Go on.
So our little Emmett here, who is playing all innocent, has his top off.
But you
But
can't see the nipples.
no, you can't see your nipples. You can't see your nipples. And
Yeah.
it
So
is still,
decorum maintained.
oh, very much so, very much so. But it's like now, you know, the aunties would be questioning, oh, would you look at
Yeah, I know. I know. But sure, look, you have to ruffle a few feathers in this industry, Vanessa.
you do. And it's really hard to stand out, you know,
Yeah. So you
any
just
for anyone. It's like you have to try and give yourself some sort of a little angle, some sort of
mm,
way just to
mm,
get
yeah,
noticed.
of course you do, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, you can probably see from there's a dystopian kind of a feel emerging with the artwork alone. Um, that in and of itself is a project I want to possibly continue. So, with the next couple of singles that I'll be releasing later on in the year, you might see a continuation with the visual theme. Just put it that way.
So the visual theme now for Coal Fire, that's like it's like it's almost like a how would you put it? A heart that has been it's like an iron heart or a metal heart or something.
Mm, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah. So I mean, my idea for the artwork was essentially to reflect the resolution and the decision that comes through, I hope, in the song and in the lyrics, where you have the embers still aglow of something that was once beautiful, but it's almost burnt out. And I wanted like the image of sort of a kind of a rundown, rusty heart, with just a little bit in the middle still aglow. I don't know if you've ever come across these geode rocks, but when you
Yeah.
crack them open, they're all iridescent inside. So I just wanted to have a little bit of that at the very middle of the heart, just to try and symbolize that essentially.
You're thinking a lot about the whole project. It's not just music, it's like a multimedia project almost.
I love it. I love it. Anything that gets this creativity out of me, I will stick into. Yeah, I love it. I love this part of it. Somebody please make me a music video.
So that's what you're looking for. You want someone to come along now and collaborate and make a music video for you.
100%. 100%. I will be doing a music video in the summertime for my next release. So keep an eye out for that.
Goldsmiths College, Goldsmiths College.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? They're here in Southeast London. You never know what might happen.
There we go.
So you have this single Coal Fire. You mentioned that there's more singles coming out. Live shows.
Mm.
When can we expect those?
Yeah, so I will be releasing a new single in the summertime. So it's actually part of the score that I'm writing for a short film that will be coming out later on in the summer. And it's a film called Park Life, which is from the same writer as In From the Side, which you might have seen on Netflix. It was on last year.
My friend was actually in that film.
Go away.
Yes, my friend Pierce was in that film, and Pierce previously was on the show. So there you go.
Go away. 5 degrees, huh?
Five, 4.5. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'll be writing the score for that film, and I'll be doing a music video for the main song from that film as well. And I'm hoping to release two more songs by the end of the year and setting up for lots of live shows and performances kicking off from the summertime here in London.
Wow, you're busy,
I'm exhausted.
busy, busy. If people want to find out more about you, find out about your music, see the visuals, all that kind of stuff, where is the best place for them to go?
Well, anyone can find me on Spotify, and please do give me a follow on Spotify. You'll find me as Emmett, Emmett. Or you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Emmett, spelled the same way. Garvin, Garvin, Daily, Daly.
Emmett, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you very much. Best of luck with the release.
Thank you.